Welcome back, players and collectors, to my channel, Ren's Collectibles. Boy, oh boy, do we have some interesting news to talk about this week in Lorcana. You guys all probably already know and have heard, but we're going to discuss the Bucky ban and everything surrounding it, what brought it about, where it is now, and where do we go from here. There's just quite an interesting conversation that we could have on that. But there's also been some new card reveals for Shimmering Skies we're going to take a look at, and one of the new challenges, Disney Lorcana challenges, has just opened up ticket sales as of today, and the day of recording this, I should say. And we're going to just take a look at all that and discuss what's happening in Lorcana world. Let's get into it. All right, so first things first, we are looking at the official announcement here from Lorcana about tickets opening up for the UK Birmingham Lorcana Challenge on September 21st and 22nd. Said they will become available this Thursday, the 11th at 2000 BST. It's already opened up at this point when you guys are seeing this. It's already opened up. I'm not sure if it'll be sold out or not. From past experiences with seeing the other European ones, they have not sold out instantaneously like the US ones have. And that's not a knock on anybody. I'm not trying to, I'm not digging at anybody over in Europe. It's just there's, I think, far less demand. There's far less people that are trying to come to these than there are in the United States and Canada and Mexico and all that. So if you are looking to go to a challenge, you're over in Europe, or even if you're somebody who likes to be, you're well-traveled, this might be a good opportunity to go and see yourself at a challenge. Again, I don't know if this is sold out yet or not, but this is a good opportunity, Birmingham. I'm very excited to see what happens in this one, because this will be a very, very interesting... This one and the Toronto DLC will be very interesting to see what happens post-Bucky meta. And we're going to talk about Bucky in just a moment here, but I wanted to put that out there that if you guys were looking or waiting on Birmingham tickets to open up, they're now available. You need to go register. And even if they're sold out at this point, you can register, hit the wait list in case somebody cancels, and you can snag a spot later on. So, there you guys go. But we're going to move on to the big thing here. We're going to move on to the thing that I think everybody's been wanting to see and discussing, and it's the Bucky ban here. Officially, it's known as an errata update because the card itself is not being banned. When I say that, it's an errata just means that there's changes to text on cards to say something different now. The cards are not going away. So Bucky in particular is not being banned to where he will no longer be able to be played. He's just having text changes on the card. I say it's a ban though because the changes, in my opinion, were pretty severe to the point where I don't think Bucky is really going to be all that viable and very playable anymore. I could be wrong, and obviously the future can dictate whether this card comes back in or into meta play or not. But as it stands right now, I don't think it's going to be a very viable card. I think you're going to see a lot of decks ditch Bucky now. Emerald Steel is going to have some changes to work out in their decks. And it's not to say that every deck is going to get rid of it. Some people are probably going to still play it and be successful with it, but the card itself got such a heavy errata that I consider it a soft ban on the card. So it's still playable, it's still there, but it's basically worthless. And that's my opinion. That's not everybody's opinion. And obviously, if you differ or vary your opinion on the card, make sure you comment down below and let me know. I'd love to have a discussion on all of that and what's going on. But basically, Lorcana came out and said they have an announcement for a card that will be receiving errata in all formats, starting with Shimmering Skies, which releases on August 9th. They go on to say errata is not something they take lightly or want to do very often, but sometimes it's necessary for the health of the game to do. And that's what they said. Starting August 9th, the following card will be changed as follows. And it is none other than everybody's loved Bucky. So this is actually the updated changed card here. Oops. And you can kind of see some changes, but in case you can't see them, they have them actually printed on the side here. So the biggest change is going to be that the cost is no longer a 2 cost, it's a 3 cost. So it's going up, one more expensive. And then also it's losing its keyword ward. So it has no ward ability moving forward August 9th. It's gonna be interesting. I mean, those two things alone already kind of hurt the Bucky errata, but that, in my opinion, I think could have been sufficient onto making the errata. I think they went maybe one step too far. And this is all just, this is amateur hour here. I have no real inside knowledge or, experience with why they chose to continue on, but they updated the ability Squeak here as well. So his actual ability when you play him. So it used to say whenever you play a Floodborn character, each opponent chooses and discards a card. Now, the errata version, what's going to be printed on cards or what the actual effect will be moving forward, is whenever you play a Floodborn character, if you use Shift to play them, each opponent chooses and discards a card. And I say that because there's just really not a lot of Shift Floodborns that are good, that you're going to put in decks. And to me, that part right there really just broke Bucky. Bucky was broken before, now he's actually broken to the point where he's sad he can't play anymore. A lot of people are happy about this. It is what it is. A lot of people are happy. I didn't personally play the Bucky Diablo card, so I really have no dog in this fight. I've played the deck a couple of times, and I didn't play top tier players, so I don't think they were used as effectively as they probably could have been, but they weren't really that much of a problem to me. They were kind of just a nuisance, but it was something you could still get around. A lot of people had a lot of issues with Bucky Diablo combo, and in particular the Bucky. So a lot of people have been just really praising this move by Lorcana. Of course, Bucky players, the Emerald Steel players are not very happy about this change, rightfully so. But, it is what it is. In my opinion, the updated ability, I think, was just a little bit too far. I think taking ward off of it and just bumping the cost up to 3 would have been sufficient. But that's just amateur player Ren here talking. Again, you guys let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions on the Bucky change are. But they did give a little context, which is something I truly love about Ravensburger. They didn't just errata the card and say, here you go. They actually gave context as to why they felt it was necessary. Regardless of all the people talking out about it or not, they actually gave their official statement on it, which is really cool. And it basically says, Ursula's return gave Bucky players the opportunity to discard multiple cards from opponents' hands as early as turn 2 while building up a board that was very difficult to interact with, creating a stressful environment that just wasn't fun. Ward also made Bucky close to untouchable, taking away player agency to deal with a powerful and cheap threat. For these reasons, we're increasing Bucky's cost to 3 and removing Ward from him. Additionally, we feel that requiring Shift better represents the Floodborn experience, as many decks utilizing Bucky have mostly ignored using the Shift mechanic outside of one sinister bird, which is Diablo. But again, it's why there's no reason for them to use Shift if they don't really need to. But again, I think there's just not, it's not entirely viable the way the deck, how fast paced the deck is supposed to be with this in particular. This is obviously hurting it in a big way. Again, I'm no expert here. I just think that this last part was maybe just a little bit too much of a knee-jerk reaction, overcorrection. But, at the end of the day, this is what it is, and we're going to see how it plays out. Now, the interesting thing is, Bucky came in set 2 in Rise of the Floodborn, but it didn't become a viable playable card until set 4, Ursula's Return. So that gave it 2 sets before it was really effective in any kind of way. That being said, it's not saying Bucky's done and over with for good. You never know. Shimmering Skies could come out with a ton of Shift Floodborn characters, or sets expanding beyond that could have a lot of Shift Floodborn characters and could really make this card viable once again. We don't know yet, but as it stands, Bucky just kind of got the boot pretty hard there, and yeah, there's a mixed reaction from the crowd. So again, you guys let me know down below. But we're gonna move on to some card reveals here. One of the most recent card reveals that we saw was this Pete Wrestling Champion from set 5. I'm not sure where this was revealed from. So, Citizens of Lorcana. Again, you guys need to go check out Citizens of Lorcana. Follow him on Twitter. He posted the link where it came from. I'm not really sure who that is. The brand's Untapped, whatever. But I've seen this card a lot on Twitter and Instagram, so I have a feeling it's a real card. It is a 3-drop, uninkable Dreamborn villain with 1 attack, 3 willpower, or 1 strength, I should say, 3 willpower, and he's got the ability Repeat. So if you tap him, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a character card named Pete, you may play it for free. And there are some pretty heavy-hitting Petes out there that already exist. So that could be pretty good. That's a pretty good card. I think Pete might be a good option to build around in the future. For a 3 cost, he's not very strong. He doesn't quest for much. But if you can fire off with this ability right here, and there's ways to kind of ensure that maybe you get the Pete that you're looking for on top of the deck, or maybe something like a Sorcerer's Hat or Bruno, which lets you look at the top card. You could then play this and get something for free. There's different combos you can really look at for this Pete, but this was one of the first ones, and honestly, it's a really cool one. I think it's a very interesting card, and I think this is a real card. It's got like the confetti that you see from the Great Illuminary in that trailer. But we're moving on to some more cards that were revealed here. These ones were all kind of revealed in different languages. This one I think is German. But Mushu Report, again, another great resource for Lorcana. I highly recommend you guys check out. Kind of translated all this and put it in a nice, very pretty format here for us. So it's Minnie Mouse, Compassionate Friend. She's a 4-drop inkable card, 1 strength, 5 willpower, quests for 2, and has the ability A Small Remedy. Whenever this character quests, you may remove up to 2 damage from chosen character. You got a heal deck, it just got better. This is honestly a pretty good card for a relatively low cost. Especially if you want kind of like a cheap. I don't want to say cheap. It's a good, it gives you reason to quest while also healing. And she's got 5 willpower, so she can take a hit or 2 before she's going to get knocked out. It doesn't hit back for a lot, but you're going to get at least probably 1 or 2 turns out of her doing the 2 quests for lore and then healing 2 damage each turn from a chosen character. So I think this is going to be a pretty good card. I kind of can't wait to see it in action, and I might build a deck that utilizes some heal mechanics like that, because I haven't really played one yet. But the next card reveal we have here is The End is Near. So this is an action card. It's a 2-cost inkable card. Choose one of your characters and ready them. They can't quest for the rest of this turn. If you chose a villain character, gain 1 lore. So it's a pretty low cost card, pretty low risk. Very good if you're playing villain characters. So you can quest, get some free lore out of somebody, then ready them up so that way they can't be challenged on the next turn. That's pretty good. And of course, if they're villains, you gain 1 more lore from it. So I think this is going to be a really good card. I think we're going to see some villain decks that are already really good just become a little bit better here. I think that's a good card. I kind of can't wait to try it out again. Next card we have here is Clarabel. So this is the Clumsy Guest. She's a 1-drop inkable And she has the ability Butterfinger. When you play this character, you may pay 2 ink to banish chosen item. So that's honestly not a bad little gig there. 1 drop, inkable, very low attack and defense there, only quest for 1, but if you got 2 extra ink on the board, you can banish a chosen item. So you think about those popsicles or, Lucky Dime or anything like that, you can banish it. So not a very explosive card by any stretch of the imagination, but a good one all the same. So, in the right decks, utilized the right way, this could actually be a really big card. I like it. I like it. All right, we have another Merlin card as well. We have a 4-drop inkable 3/3 Merlin card that has the ability, Give Me Time to Think. When you play this character and when he leaves play, it's just traditional Merlin right there. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Put one on the top of your deck and the other on the bottom. That's honestly going to be huge. He also quests for 2, by the way. That's going to be really, really huge, especially in the Merlin or the Brooms decks. All the decks that utilize the Sorcerer's Hat, or even if you have, Amethyst Emerald deck, right? Amethyst Emerald, where you have Bruno and you can pick the top card of your deck. So I think this is going to be a pretty viable card. We're going to see a lot of decks include this card in their deck. I think this is one that it gets a lot of play right from the get-go. I think this is going to be one of the more popular cards to play right out of the gates. So you guys, again, let me know what you think about these cards down below. But we have a couple more here, again, from Mushu Report. We have, I love this card art because I love this movie. We have I'm Not Having Fun Anymore. It's a 1-drop inkable card that says, it's an action card, and it says, choose one of your characters and put it into your inkwell face down and exerted. So, in traditional blue fashion, it's just accelerating cards to your inkwell. Very low cost, very good card to have. You need that extra ink for a turn or, to move on, then this is a good option. You kick out one of your low cost, insignificant characters and you move them to the inkwell. So pretty good card. Pretty standard for blue, in my opinion, for Sapphire. And then we have Sir Ector, Castle Lord. He is a whopping 7-drop, uninkable. But this is one beefy boy, I'll tell you that, for a steel card in steel traditional fashion. He is a 7/10. He has 7 strength, 10 willpower, which is kind of unbelievable. For a 7 cost, I think that is already absurdly high. So he's already super good at 7/10 with 7 drop. But he also quests for 3. So if you just decided you didn't even want to challenge with him, you could quest for 3. He's got 10 willpower. An opponent's gonna have to wipe their board trying to wipe him, or get lucky with some kind of action card to move him. But that's a pretty beefy boy for, honestly, a relatively low cost for what you're getting out of him. I think 7 is a little bit low on the cost side. I'm not complaining at all. I'm probably going to use him, but I'm just saying 7 drop for a 7/10 with 3 lore he quests for. That's pretty beefy. That's pretty beefy. I think this card is going to see some play from the very beginning, especially people who just like to make fun, like, theme decks, more or less. We're gonna be pumping this card in. So those are pretty cool. Those are pretty cool. And the final card reveal that we have, at least at the time of this recording, is Sherwood Forest. So Robin Hood is finally getting his own location. It was only a matter of time. I said it from the very beginning. I can't wait till they make Sherwood Forest a location, because it's going to be great. And honestly, this does not disappoint even a little bit. So it's a 2-drop inkable location. It's got 7 willpower, which is pretty good. But it has a 2 move cost. So it costs 2 ink to move a character here. But it says Forest Home. Your characters named Robin Hood may move here for free, which is a huge boost right now. My main deck I play is Robin Hood, so this is going to be day one play for me. I'm loving this card. But it doesn't end there. It has one more ability. It says Familiar Terrain. Characters gain Ward and tap for 1 ink, and you can deal 2 damage to chosen damaged character while here. Opponents can't choose them except to challenge. So there you go. That's for the Ward piece of it. So you're it's gonna be interesting. I'm just looking at it now. Bucky may even find some action here, which people don't want to hear, but he might find some action here. Essentially, you just play a bunch of Robin Hoods. You move them here for free. They gain Ward, and then you start pinging people for damage. You get the, what is it, that one drop Robin Hood that you can tap them to damage something, and then I don't know, other cards like Thaddeus E. Clang. You can tap them to deal damage to a chosen character. You start pinging little bits of damage. Then you can start moving your other characters here to tap them for extra damage. So think about something like that Lord Ector we just looked at. You know, this is kind of somewhat of an answer to that. You start pinging guys like that for damage kind of passively. So, and you don't have to get hit back by, you know, the other characters. So stuff like this is really good. I'm glad to see Lorcana is really moving on with these cards and just really bringing out some really good cards and abilities. None of these are game changers. They're not game breaking by any stretch of the imagination, but they're all super really good. And they're cards that I think are going to slowly shift metas around, which is exactly what you want to see in a card game. But that's all we have time for today, ladies and gentlemen. That is all the news I have to talk about Lorcana. Again, you guys, make sure you comment down below what you think about the Bucky ban, what you think about these new cards, and let me know if you're going to be going to Birmingham, UK for the DLC coming up soon. But don't forget to like the video as well. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That's all we have time for today. We'll see you in the next video.